Top 6 actors Tommy Lee Jones hated most. That scary stare, rough voice, and serious attitude have made Tommy Lee Jones one of Hollywood's most respected actors. But behind those amazing movie performances is a man who's had lots of big fights with other people. Today, we're counting down the 6 most shocking real fights that left other movie stars and directors wondering if working with this Oscar-winning actor was worth all the trouble. These aren't made-up stories or gossip magazine guesses. These are the real arguments that changed how movies were made and created lasting Hollywood stories. By the end of this video, you'll see Tommy Lee Jones's powerful acting in a totally new way. Let's count down the 6 real times when co-workers experienced Tommy Lee Jones's famous anger. 6. Jim Carrey. The year was 1995, and Jim Carrey was Hollywood's #1 comedy king. After the huge success of Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, Carrey got the role of the Riddler in Batman Forever, getting paid an amazing $20 million. His wild and crazy performance style had made him loved by fans all around the world. Then came Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, bringing his Oscar-winning seriousness to the Batman movie series. What happened next has become one of Hollywood's most famous run-ins. The fight wasn't just about different ideas. It was a basic clash of acting styles. Jones, who learned acting in fancy theater schools and was super serious about his work, reportedly couldn't stand Carrey's make-it-up-as-you-go approach and constant silly behavior on set. The worst moment came during filming when Carrey ran into Jones at a restaurant. As Carrey later told people in many interviews, including on Norm Macdonald Live, "I walked up to say hello and he stood up, looked me straight in the eye and said, 'I cannot sanction your buffoonery.' Then he walked out of the restaurant." This wasn't just Carrey's story. Director Joel Schumacher confirmed the tension in later interviews, saying, "Jim Carrey was a force of nature. Tommy is, and I say this with great respect, a scene stealer. You can't steal scenes from Jim Carrey." Jones never said the story was fake. When someone asked him about it in a 2000 interview, he simply said, "I was in a bad mood that day," neither saying yes or no to Carrey's story, which for Tommy Lee Jones basically means yes, it happened. The two actors, even though they both made lots of money at the box office, have never worked together since, proving that sometimes even Hollywood isn't big enough for two huge talents. 5. Wesley Snipes. When Tommy Lee Jones played his role as Marshal Samuel Gerard again for the 1998 spin-off movie U.S. Marshals, Harrison Ford was clearly missing. Instead, Wesley Snipes stepped in as the runaway criminal. What audiences didn't know was that behind the cameras, Jones and Snipes were having one of the most tense standoffs of both men's careers. Many crew members have confirmed that Jones and Snipes argued almost right away over how to understand the script and who was in control on set. Jones, who felt like the Marshal Gerard character was his after winning an Oscar for The Fugitive, reportedly didn't like Snipes' ideas for changing the script. The fight got worse when Snipes, who was famous for doing many of his own stunts, clashed with Jones over action scenes. According to production assistants who later talked to Entertainment Weekly, Jones would make fun of Snipes by calling him the martial arts expert when Snipes wasn't around, making it clear he didn't respect his co-star's input. Director Stuart Baird confirmed the tension in a 2010 look-back interview, saying, "We had two very strong personalities who had very different ways of working. Tommy is careful and exact. Wesley is more go with your gut and physical. Oil and water sometimes." The tension became so obvious that the two actors would almost never talk directly to each other between takes, instead talking through assistants or the director. This Cold War continued throughout filming, with crew members remembering the set as having all the warmth of Antarctica. Even though they didn't get along personally, U.S. Marshals did pretty well at the box office. However, unlike The Fugitive, it failed to get award attention or a sequel, maybe because the on-screen chemistry was ruined by the off-screen bad feelings. 4. Joel Schumacher. While not an actor, director Joel Schumacher's fight with Tommy Lee Jones during Batman Forever was so big, it deserves its own spot. Jones's problems weren't limited to Jim Carrey. He reportedly had basic problems with Schumacher's entire vision for the film. Jones, who had just won an Oscar for The Fugitive, came to the Batman movie series expecting a darker, more serious mood. What he found instead was Schumacher's on-purpose campy, neon-colored approach, a huge difference from the dark and brooding Tim Burton Batman films that came before it. According to production designer Barbara Ling, Jones made his unhappiness known early and often. Tommy would look at some of the sets or costumes and just shake his head. He'd say, "This isn't what I signed up for." The tension came to a boiling point during the filming of Two-Face's more over-the-top scenes. Jones, who reportedly told Schumacher he felt the character was being turned into a cartoon, had to be talked into completing certain scenes that he felt ruined the character's mental complexity. In a 1996 interview with Premiere magazine, when asked about Batman Forever, Jones shortly called it childish and changed the subject. Years later, when asked if he would ever work with Schumacher again, Jones offered his typical blunt answer, "I doubt it." Schumacher, for his part, has been polite but revealing. In a 2017 interview celebrating the film's release, he said, "Tommy is an amazing actor who takes his work very seriously. Perhaps a mentally complex villain wasn't the right match for the tone we were trying to achieve." The two never worked together again, with Jones clearly choosing not to even discuss the film during lookbacks of his career, maybe the clearest sign of his feelings about the experience. 3. Val Kilmer. If Jones found Carrey's comedy style hard to put up with, his relationship with Batman himself, Val Kilmer, was just as strained, though for totally different reasons. In 1995, Val Kilmer was known for his intense method acting approach and had built a reputation for being fully absorbed in his characters. Jones, with his more technical, exact approach to acting, reportedly found Kilmer's process pretentious and unnecessary. According to several crew members who later talked to Vanity Fair for a Batman Lookback article, Jones and Kilmer almost never spoke off camera. One production assistant remembered, "They were like two gunfighters in different corners of the saloon." Tommy thought Val was needlessly intense for a superhero movie, while Val thought Tommy wasn't taking the psychological parts seriously enough. The fight came to a boiling point during a scene where Two-Face and Batman face each other. After Kilmer asked for many takes to find different emotional notes, Jones reportedly said loud enough for many to hear, "I've made 7 films this year. I don't have time for this nonsense." First Assistant Director William M. Elvin confirmed the tension, noting, "These were two strong actors with completely different approaches. Tommy comes prepared with every line perfect and expects the same. Val likes to find the moment while filming. It created natural friction." What makes this fight especially notable is how completely Kilmer has erased Jones from his professional history. In his 2020 memoir, I'm Your Huckleberry, Kilmer doesn't just leave out Jones. He avoids his name like it's poisonous, writing lots about Batman Forever while never once mentioning his main co-star. This calculated deletion speaks way more than any direct criticism ever could. When Jones was asked about working with Kilmer during the film's press tour, he offered only, "I worked with Batman. I didn't work with Mr. Kilmer." The short response, delivered with Jones's trademark intensity, perfectly showed their professional distance. A Cold War that has now lasted nearly 3 decades without signs of warming up. 2. Sally Field. When Steven Spielberg put together the cast for 2012's Lincoln, he brought together some of the most respected actors in the business. Tommy Lee Jones playing abolitionist Thaddeus Stevens and Sally Field as Mary Todd Lincoln were two towering talents with many Oscars between them. Their scenes together should have been magical. Behind the scenes, they were anything but. Field, known for her emotional openness and method approach, clashed with Jones's more quiet technical style from the first script reading. According to production staff who talked to The Hollywood Reporter, Jones found Field's emotional preparation excessive and unnecessary. The tension wasn't just about style. During one important scene between their characters, Field reportedly stayed in character between takes, continuing to call Jones Mr. Stevens and keeping Mary Todd's upset emotional state. According to a crew member who was there, Jones finally said, "Sally, the camera's not rolling. You can stop now." Field herself confirmed the difficult situation in a 2016 interview with The Guardian, saying, "Tommy was, well, Tommy isn't warm and fuzzy. Let's just say we had very different approaches, and sometimes that created friction. But friction can create fire, and that's what you see on screen." What makes this fight especially interesting is that even though they didn't get along personally, their scenes together in Lincoln are among the film's most powerful, with Jones going on to receive an Oscar nomination for his performance. It's a perfect example of how professional friction doesn't always ruin the final product. When asked about working with Field during the film's promotional tour, Jones gave his typical short response. "Sally is very dedicated to her process." The polite words were ruined by his tone, which several journalists noted carried a clear chill. 1. Steven Seagal. At the top of our list is maybe Tommy Lee Jones's most explosive Hollywood relationship. His famous clash with action star Steven Seagal during the filming of 1992's Under Siege. This fight stands as the most well-documented and intense of Jones's career conflicts. Under Siege, which cast Seagal as a Navy cook fighting terrorists on a battleship, with Jones as the bad guy mercenary, brought together two famously strong personalities with explosive results. From the beginning, the production was filled with tension. According to director Andrew Davis, who later talked about the fight in an Empire magazine look back, Jones, fresh from his Oscar nomination for JFK, found Seagal's limited acting range frustrating. Seagal, at the peak of his action star fame, was known for his controlling nature on set and insistence on being shown as unbeatable. The tension came to a boiling point during fight planning. Many stunt coordinators have confirmed that Jones and Seagal had completely different ideas about how their final fight should happen. Seagal, true to his action star image, wanted to clearly win the fight, while Jones felt this ruined the believability of his character as a worthy enemy. What made things worse was Seagal's famous contract rule that his character could never lose a fight on screen. Stunt coordinator Stephen Lambert later revealed Seagal would literally count the number of punches he took versus gave to make sure he came out ahead. Jones found this whole approach ridiculous and unprofessional. At one point, Jones reportedly joked to the director, "I didn't realize I was making a movie with someone who's never allowed to get hit." During one particularly heated argument that many crew members saw, Jones reportedly told Seagal, "I'm an actor, not a prop for you to look good against." The comment, delivered with Jones's typical intensity, left the set in shocked silence. The fight reached such high levels that crew members began making bets on which tough guy would finally lose it first. Weapons master Bill Davis remembered, "There was a day when they were both in the weapons room at the same time, and you could cut the tension with a knife. Everyone froze, wondering if we were about to witness Hollywood history." Producer J.F. Lawton later revealed that the two actors had to be scheduled separately whenever possible, with their scenes together filmed only when absolutely necessary. "It was like keeping two alpha predators in separate cages," he noted. "You only put them together when you're ready to roll camera." Maybe most tellingly, during press interviews for the film, Jones and Seagal were never scheduled together, a very unusual arrangement for the two leads of a major action film. When reporters would ask Jones about working with Seagal, he would offer versions of no comment or change the subject completely. Years later, when directly asked about Seagal in a rare, unguarded moment, Jones offered his most honest opinion. "Let's just say there are actors, and there are those who think they are actors." The comment perfectly showed Jones's basic problem with Seagal, a perceived lack of respect for the craft that Jones held sacred. These fights reveal more than just entertaining Hollywood gossip. They expose a clear pattern in Tommy Lee Jones's professional life. Throughout his famous career, Jones has repeatedly clashed with co-workers who approached acting differently than he did. For Jones, acting is a serious, careful craft that demands tough preparation, technical exactness, and no-nonsense professionalism. Those who approach it differently, whether through comedy, method immersion, or action star posing, have often found themselves in his crosshairs. What's really striking about these 6 fights is that Jones never picked on weaker people. Every single one of these feuds involved either Oscar winners, blockbuster leads, or top-level directors. Jones saved his most intense professional displeasure for those working at his level or above, suggesting that his standards increased equally with his co-workers' importance and influence. These weren't just small disagreements or personality clashes. They affected productions, changed casting decisions, and in some cases permanently changed Jones's career path. Directors became hesitant to pair him with certain types of actors. Studios thought about his personality when making production decisions, and countless stories from these fights have become part of Hollywood legend. In an industry built on teamwork, Jones's difficulties with co-stars raise important questions. Does artistic integrity justify professional friction? At what point does commitment to craft become bad for the filmmaking process? Yet, for all his famous difficulty, there's something admirably real about Tommy Lee Jones. In a Hollywood era of carefully managed public images and performers trained to never offend, Jones stands as a throwback to an earlier time when stars weren't afraid to be themselves, even when that self wasn't loved by everyone. What's especially noteworthy is that despite his reputation, Jones has never lacked for work. Directors continue to cast him. Fellow actors, despite the risks, continue to work with him. And audiences continue to appreciate his performances. Because ultimately what makes Jones occasionally difficult to work with is exactly what makes him exceptional on screen: his absolute uncompromising commitment to honesty. Even those who've experienced Jones's anger firsthand often express a grudging respect. Sally Field, despite their tension, acknowledged his amazing talent. Joel Schumacher, though never working with Jones again, praised his dedication. And Jim Carrey, despite the sting of rejection, has noted that Jones's commitment to his craft is unquestionable. Maybe most tellingly, the directors who have weathered Jones's difficult reputation continue to seek him out. The Coen brothers, Oliver Stone, Steven Spielberg, all have cast Jones many times, knowing that whatever challenges he might bring to the set are outweighed by what he brings to the screen. As Jones himself once said in a rare moment of self-reflection, "I don't need to be liked. I need to be good at what I do." It's a philosophy that has cost him friendships, but earned him an Oscar, 4 nominations, and a place among Hollywood's most respected actors. And that wraps up our look at the 6 most significant conflicts in Tommy Lee Jones's legendary career. From comedy superstars to fellow Oscar winners, these real clashes reveal a man who places his art above popularity, sometimes at significant personal and professional cost. What do you think? Is Jones's dedication to his craft worth the tension it creates? Or should even the most talented actors learn to compromise for the sake of harmony? We'd love to hear your thoughts about Tommy Lee Jones and these famous feuds in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into classic Hollywood personalities, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content about the golden age stars you love. We have plenty more fascinating stories about your favorite actors coming soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.